Here we go with you with this.
I don't know. All right. Well, cheers, everybody, and welcome back to Sips and Scripts. I am your host, Kirsten Jackson, cocktail lover, storyteller, and your go-to girl for bold films and even bolder drinks. This is the show where cinema meets cocktails, where we sip something delicious and we take a deep dive into the films we love, right, guys?
Right.
Absolutely. Look like you took a nosedive right there.
Hey, I did. I started thinking about something else. My bad. Look, okay, let me get focused.
ADHD is a real thing. Yeah,
it is real. It is real. So, yes, we take a deep dive into the films that move us, challenge us, and make us say, what the hell did I just watch? So every week, one of us picks a movie and we all bring our opinions, our hot takes, and a perfectly paired cocktail to the table. And of course, I'm joined by my dazzling co-host, Terrell.
Yo.
Thank you, TBZ.
Shut up.
And Jeff.
Top of the afternoon. How are you, my dear?
Oh, how do, sir? How do? Hey, y'all. How's everybody doing? Jeff, what you got going on?
Man, working. This is my first day off. And I wish I could say it's my day off. Y'all got me working. So I was going to say my first day off in like a month and a half. But hey, still working. But I got this not working on Monday shirt. So Monday I'm not working. That's a lie. I'm definitely working tomorrow. I'll be working tomorrow.
We crack the whip pretty hard around here. Okay?
Yes, massa.
That's right. Terrell, what's going on in your world?
Not too much. Work, kids, family, fun. No fun.
Oh,
that was perfect. That was a terrible segue. No fun. No fun at all.
That just really was terrible. I feel sorry for you, psych. Well, all right. Well, Terrell has picked our movie for this week, and it's a heavy pour. Today we are talking about Straw, a 2025 psychological crime drama written and directed by friend of the podcast, Tyler Perry.
Oh boy, friend of that pie. That boy T.
Yeah.
T-Pizzle.
We not talking about T-Pain.
I wish we were. That'd be so great. But hey, Tyler Perry. So this movie stars Taraji P. Henson in a raw powerhouse performance alongside Sherry Shepherd, Tiana Taylor, Glenn Turman, Sinbad, and Rockman Dunbar. And it's one of those movies that grabs you by the gut and doesn't let go. So we've got a couple of trigger warnings. One, there's going to be some spoilers. So if you haven't seen the film, you might want to hit pause and then come back. But we also have some trigger warnings for gun violence and child death. And I think that might be all. So before we jump in, let's talk about our history with the film. Even though it was released this year, you guys want to share your viewing history? Jeff, what about you?
Yeah, my viewing history was I was bored in the house and I was literally like, oh, let me see what this is all about. I've been seeing people talk about Straw and that was my history with it. I was discovered by the Netflix. You may have heard of this. The Netflix.
Oh, oui.
Oh, yeah. He was using the VPN on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Pay for my subscription. I'm not sharing no more.
You ain't using no VPN with Daddy Netflix. Oh, you shut down.
No, ma'am.
Well, I thought you were going to share that you were the first of all of us to watch the film. You led us to the promised land, and we
see because some viewers out there might think this is a chick flick, so I didn't want people to know my business. But thank you, Kirsten, for sharing that with everybody that I saw it first out of the three of us. Thanks.
That's what I'm here for. Count on me through thick and thin. Well, Terrell, what about you? Well, you know what? I'm going to go next because it's your film. So I'm going to say that so usually like 1 month out of the year, I pick a month and I don't really watch TV. I take that time to like do stuff on social media or read or like do projects and stuff. So, and June was going to be that month. And I hadn't had the TV in my bedroom on all month, but and I hadn't had my living room TV on all month either. But then Straw came out and I was like, I know these fuckers on Facebook are going to ruin it for me. So let me go ahead and watch this movie so that I won't, it won't be spoiled. Because people do that and that sucks. But I guess people get excited or whatever. But so I watched it. And then you guys were, or that it might have been like a day or so after you guys were like texting back and forth saying that you watched it. So that was my viewing history. And I watched it, and then I watched it again with my mom, who I had to lie and say, I've never seen it. Because she would talk through the whole film. I've said it a million times in this podcast, and Terrell knows firsthand that she will talk.
Into 50 Cent.
Your damn face loose. Yes. Your face will fall off. She will talk your face loose in a movie. So she was like, what's going to happen? And I was like, gosh, no idea. So I did watch it. I ended up watching it twice and then a third time to prepare for this episode.
Oh, wow. You got a great analysis on this movie then. Okay.
No, I am fully Tyler Perry. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. It's 3:10 too many for me. But go ahead. Wow. I saw it twice.
Oh, all right, T-Rex.
Okay, so I was on social media and people was like, oh, the new Tyler Perry movie, it's so great. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's the best thing. It's one of his best work. I'm like people was crying. I'm like, what is everybody talking? Ain't no Tyler Perry movie that good to bring tears to my eyes. So I was like, I gotta see what people talking about. I had to see what people talking about. I was like, and then I watched it and I thought to myself, the bar is really low. Crying. People just really emotional nowadays.
The bar is so low now.
So yeah, I jumped in the chat and I was like, has anyone else seen this movie? Because I stopped the movie I paused it at least 5 or 6 times to be like, what is going on and why is this happening? So, but yeah, I watched it 2.5 times. Yeah, for some reason. I don't know why. The first time I watched it, and then the second time I watched it with Rhonda. And then I watched it again, but didn't finish it last night. I was like, that's enough. I couldn't take one more second.
All right.
I couldn't take one more second.
No.
Turn it off now.
Turn them off. Yeah, I was real Teddy P with it.
Teddy P with it. Teddy P for the Tyler P. I get it.
That's cold, dog. Hey. Well, yeah, it's a rough one. It's a rough one, but hey, that's what we're here for. So, well, Terrell, since it is your movie pick, you get to choose our recap challenger. So, who's gonna give us straw in under 60 seconds?
Oh, this is easy. Since this is a powerful movie for women,
damn it!
Right. It's only right that you give us the recap. I need that female perspective.
I hate you both.
I didn't even say anything, but I'm glad he did.
All right, well, I'm going to put 60 seconds on the clock. I hate you guys so much. And you can go ahead and count it in, you asshole.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, so our movie Straw is about a single mother who who works two jobs, and she's very broken poor, and she has a daughter that's sick, and she's about to be evicted, and she's like, the people at her job are extremely mean to her, and so are cops in the street, and so she gets fired from her job, but then the job gets robbed, and so she's like, well, you know what, hey, I'm gonna just cash my last paycheck and call it a day. And then she pulls out a gun because she snatched the gun from the robber when the job was being robbed. And then so she took the gun to the bank, and they were like, oh, she's about to rob the bank. And then they see her backpack blinking, and they're like, oh, she about to blow up the bank. So, and then she was like, I just need money for my kid. But surprise, the kid is dead. The end.
Wow.
Okay.
You got through the 60 seconds. I think you missed a couple parts, but it was pretty much spot on kind of what was going on. Mm-hmm.
Yep. I write like Tyler Perry.
What?
You don't need all the facts.
With reckless abandon.
Yeah. you don't need all the facts.
Or any facts at all.
That is too funny.
Just think it, and that's what it is.
That's right. I'm glad y'all are on board with that. So
we got a comment?
Do we have a comment? Yes, we have a comment. Yes, we have a comment says, a single mom who works too hard, who loves her kids and never stops. Yes. Yes, Reba. Exactly. All right. So
did she pull that off the Tyler Perry website? Where is she?
You know that.
It might be the subtitle.
Who works too hard? Who loves her kids and never stops?
Straight from Netflix. Copied and pasted.
You dork. Y'all remember that. It's the Reba song.
Look, your wife been watching it 3 times too many with you too. She got all the facts. We should have had her on the show too.
We will. She keeps refusing, but we wearing her down.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's cocktail time. So this week's sip might look sweet, but it packs a punch. And we are calling it a mind fog. And it's just as unsettling as this movie. So let's shake it up. Mm-hmm. All right. So we're going to start with our trusty shaker. And we're going to put some ice in our shaker. And so for this cocktail, you are going to need... Are you
pouring ice or are you pouring ball bearings? Because that is some heavy ice. Good God. Sound like you throwing tools over there. Go ahead.
Well, have you ever heard of silent ice, you jerk?
No, but them big old cubes that you got over there make me sound like you throwing big old wrenches in there.
You know what?
Go ahead.
Ooh, you know what? It's being on. Listen, those of you out there listening, being on a podcast with only guys has really, really been hard. Like, all they do is try to roast me, and I'm so wonderful.
As if you don't try to give us. I know you regret asking me to come on the show every week that we film. I'm sure.
I don't regret it. I just want y'all to treat me like the princess I am, and y'all won't do it, and I think that's rude.
Nope.
My apologies, Queen. My apologies, Queen.
That's right. All right, back to the cocktails, you jerk.
Drink.
All right, so we need 1.5 ounces of vodka, and I should add that today's episode, we have been sent a bottle by Broken Shed Vodka. It is from New Zealand and made by the mountains. So thank you, Broken Shed. And so we have 1.5 ounces of Broken Shed vodka in our shaker. And we are also using this beautiful liqueur, Saint Germain. I love Saint Germain, the bottle, the spirit, it's all just so beautiful. And we need 1 ounce of elderflower liqueur. And so we're going with Saint Germain. And I've got my jigger here. We're going to do 1/2 ounce in our shaker. And no, I'm sorry, 1 ounce, excuse me. 1 ounce of Saint Germain and 1 ounce of white grape juice. So,
Sounds pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. All right.
White grape juice makes me think about when. Did you guys ever used to have the sparkling grape juice for New Year's Eve when your parents was popping champagne? Like, you get sparkling grape juice. Did you guys ever get that? No.
No,
No.
they
Okay.
didn't. They didn't care about us. They just told us go sit down.
Yeah.
Oh, we know we were always at church. So
Oh yeah, I've been
Sit
there
down
too.
and pray. Pray the new year in.
There you go.
Yep. All right, so we are going to give it a shake. And we have a nice, tall, chilled martini glass here.
You fancy?
Well, you know, what can I say?
Get it now, brain fog. So you had a fog glass, chilled. I saw what you
There
did there.
you go.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah. You ain't just a pretty face.
No,
The drink
never
that's
been.
better than the movie. Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah. All right, so now we have our mind fog. And so shake it with ice and serve it up in a martini glass. It's got a delicate look, but once it hits, woo, just like straw, it's not what it seems.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right, so
How is it?
it's pretty good. But
Yes,
white
yeah.
grape juice is always going to hit. I'll finish this one. You know what the worst cocktail I ever made on this show?
No, that's a good one.
Huh?
The Chinese boat?
No. The last one I made was delicious. I made it. The one with the what?
The one with the Cheeto dust.
Oh my God. Oh, it was so awful. Yeah, Jeff wasn't here for that episode. It was just me and you when we did
one of them days.
Yeah. Thank God I would have talked you off that ledge. What were you thinking?
I was trying to be like my girls in the movie, but that Cheeto martini was the most horrible thing I had ever tasted in my entire life. So yeah. Well, how about a bit of history, a little sip of history? Elderflower liqueur is often used to add floral notes to a drink. So, but paired with vodka and grape juice, you get something light but layered. And yeah, so we ready to dive into our film?
Let's get it.
Absolutely.
All right. So our technical summary. Straw is a 2025 American psychological crime drama film written, produced, and directed, The Trinity, by Tyler Perry. He is best known for his Medea films, but this is a little different. So on Rotten Tomatoes, the film has a 50% approval rating. On Metacritic, it has an average score of 56 out of 100 based on 7 critic reviews. And so the critics are split, but everyone agrees that Taraji's performance was really good. Undeniably gripping were the exact words. And a little movie trivia before we get into our discussion. Taraji P. Henson spent 3 months shadowing single mothers for this role to ground her performance in realism. The scene where she walks back to work barefoot was improvised after her shoes broke during filming, and Tyler Perry kept the take. Aria's science fair project was built by a real Atlanta area elementary school student who won a contest to be featured in the film. And Sherry Shepherd's scenes were filmed in only 6 days due to her talk show schedule.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah. And lastly, the character Detective Raymond was originally written for a white male actor. But was given to Tiana Taylor.
Trivia is more exciting about the movie. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right, so let's open up discussion. Terrell, since this is your flick,
all right,
where do you want to drive us to first?
Okay, well, are we gonna run through it real quick, or we just gonna jump straight into the questions? Or how y'all want it?
Whatever you want to do.
All right. Well, let me
No
jump
chaser,
into the
bro.
question. I'm about to jump straight into these questions. Okay, So Tyler Perry, he wrote this film, directed it, and all that good stuff. And it seems like he was trying to force an emotional response from people. And I'm like, do you believe that Tyler Perry earned an emotional response, or do you believe it was also forced? And I'll answer that by saying I
Come on
believe
with the good
that
questions.
it was definitely forced. And the emotional response, it shouldn't be back to back to back to back to back to back drama that you have to see to get that response. Because I think that's what people were getting caught up in. They could see themselves in Jania's shoes, and they was like, "Oh, I've been where she's been, and this is tough, and this is hard," and it just gives you that emotional response instead of just having something happen organically throughout the film, and you start feeling for that character so much that it breaks you down bit by bit. But this one, it was like, y'all got to feel it right now in the first 17 minutes, and if you don't feel it, you're not gonna get it. Because this is exactly how I was. I watched the film and I was like, I could see where that could be emotional. And then I kept watching and I was like, but now I don't care. So, so how do y'all feel about that? Do y'all believe it was earned or was it forced?
Who you throwing that to?
I throw it to Jeff.
Honestly, great question too, by the way. I feel as if drama is a space that he thinks, he being Tyler Perry, that's where his core audience can, pretty much relate to. Not Kirsten over here taking pictures of the cocktail. Okay. On the live. All right. So I would say that he kind of, that's his go-to bag, right? Unfortunately, it's like a one-trick pony, right? Because I would love to, maybe not, but to see him try different genres, right? So you got a lot of people like Jordan Peele that play in the thrillers and scary movie genres, right? Like that's his bag. You got, Ryan Coogler starting to play in the thriller with Sinners and everything like that. So, different producers, directors, and things of that nature are starting to diversify their audience with different things. Like you can't, typecast them as this particular one. But if you look at this, all of Tyler Perry's movies is some hint of drama, or you know what I mean, like. I guess you could say maybe A House of Pain and Meet the Browns was comedy-ish. Even some of the Medea films is comedy-ish, but it's still underlying a lot of drama. And I'm with you on, he definitely forces that drama to capture people in, just to play on their heartstrings. You know what I mean? But I would like to see something different that kind of like throws you out. And I'm not like completely versed on all of his movies because I'm not really a fan, and I'm not saying that just because. I don't want him to win. It's just more so that I feel like he's a one-trick pony. You know what I mean? And it to each his own. You get in your bag with it, but I feel like he definitely is doing what he feels like is his go-to, and sometimes he definitely misses the mark with that. So yeah, I agree with you. I think it was forced.
Okay. How about you, Kirsten? What you think?
I think it was forced. I think it was lazy, and I think it was just. Like Tyler Perry, I understand, like, okay, he does right for his core audience, which we know who that is. There are people who love Tyler Perry films and those type of films. And I get it. That's fine. However, he will, instead of taking one situation and examining all of the trauma, but also some of the nuances of just being in that situation and having it fully fleshed out, it's like he was just jam pack all of this trauma in, and it's like this person is going through so much trauma that it's not even realistic. And I'm not saying that people can't have a bad day. Like when we talk about the opening sequence of this film, everybody was like belligerent, cursing at her. People were throwing things at her. It was like, listen, I get it. Sometimes you have a bad day where it seems like nothing is going right. But the way things were going in her life, I was like, baby, maybe you should stay home.
Yeah.
Because I know you got to get your check, but maybe you should just get it cash app to you. I don't know, but like because
not cash app to 521.
Something because okay, so and it's like things happen all the time, but everybody wants to cuss you out, everybody wants to assault you, everybody wants to like hit you with their car.
Yeah.
It was too much, and it made it feel like it was just unbelievable. Like I listen, and you know what? I don't mind being wrong. If anybody out there, hello in TV land, if you know of a day you have that like that, please let me know. I would love to hear about that. Because like, okay, that was just a lot. Like,
and it was in the span of a few hours. I'm like,
yeah, that was a hell of a day. But I mean, to be fair, you know what I mean? Like when it rains, it pours, right? You know what I mean? Sometimes when one thing isn't going, that was a tsunami.
Yeah, that was a monsoon.
You're right. That's why I said he did overdo it. But we've had those days where it's just like, man, nothing is just clicking today. And you know what I mean? Sometimes when you're in a rut, you really don't know. So I'll give a period of grace that it may not be our story. Right. But it was somebody's story, and that's probably why it resonated with a lot of people that were online. Like, yo, I've been there.
Was it? You got?
Honestly, I could say yeah, because think about our economy is crazy right now, right? You know what I'm saying? We're living in some some unfamiliar territory with the state of the world right now. So you know what I mean? Like we don't know everybody's economical status. You know what I'm saying? Like in this economy right now, and I'm not going too deep into that, but you know what I'm saying? $100,000 used to be like, man, you got a good 6-figure job. People are still living check by check with making $100,000. So just imagine those that aren't making $100,000 in this economy. It's stress, you know what I'm saying? And if you're a single mom and things of that nature, trust and believe it might not be to that extreme, but it's pretty damn close. You know what I mean? So,
I agree. I totally agree. Absolutely, there are people struggling, even those who would not be struggling as like in other economies, like previous economies, but they're struggling now. I get that. And I'm saying the life of a single mom. I'm not a single mom, so I can't really, speak to that. However, I can, say that I'm aware that a single motherhood is difficult. It's very difficult. But I'm just saying, like, it's difficult enough, and you can build a film where you can make your audience feel sorry for the main character without putting them through the grinder like that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So because I mean we've seen it a ton of times. There's tons of movies with single moms, and you really get a chance to have a moment with them and to like feel what they're going through. But it's like that she was out there navigating the world like there were just like villains everywhere, like that cop villain.
Yeah, that was.
I think it was.
You almost hit my brand new car. Let me ram my brand new car into you.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. But it's a play off of the title, right? It's the last straw, right? So straw is definitely, you kind of be like, oh, okay, now I know why it's called straw. The last straw. That was really what it was supposed to encapsulate with that title. So.
Oh, I get the process and I get the reasoning, but the getting us there was just.
Yeah,
it was real. It was real.
Tyler Perry-ish.
It was just like, that's what's gonna happen next. This is gonna happen next. This is gonna happen next. This is gonna happen next, and then we're gonna be in the bank for the rest of the movie. I'm like,
yeah,
definitely.
It wasn't earned. I got a follow-up question to that question that I just asked. Is there any movie that has garnered true, genuine emotion from you? Is there any part of any movie that you've seen that you was like, that it kind of brought you to tears, or it made you kind of like well up a little bit, get a little tear drop?
Absolutely. I can think of 5 off the top of my head. Sorry, Kirsten, to jump right in, but
no, go ahead.
The Pursuit of Happiness, 100%. You know what I mean? Like as a, and again, like Kirsten, I'm not a single parent, but you know what I mean? Like Will Smith did a really good job of making you really feel. If you think about it, it has a lot of those nuances in it. You know what I'm saying? I was waiting to say this about this film, but if you think about it, this is a bootleg, and I'm saying it quote unquote bootleg John Q.
Yes.
That's exactly that is 100% John Q subline. You know what I'm saying? The only difference is his spoiler alert, the child dies and John Q's lives. You know what I'm saying? But it was both that breaking point, you know what I mean, whatever. Tyler Perry probably was watching John Q and was like, oh, let me put a spin on that. Let's make her a female. Let's do this, let's do that, yada yada yada. But even in John Q, Pursuit of Happiness, even some parts in King Richard, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know, there's a few of them that you can get some really deep emotion. You know what I'm saying? That even I'll tell you this one too. Something that I'm gonna throw a zinger. You know what I mean? It wasn't intended to, but it was a comedy. But parts of Mrs. Doubtfire, watching a family, you know what I'm saying, go through an actual divorce and how those kids were affected with, you know what I'm saying, that divorce and how that, yeah, it was a great comical, you know, movie. But you know what I mean? There was some little parts in there where you like, man, I got a little tear jerker. So yeah, there's plenty of films out there that, you know what I mean, they really, you know, does a really good job of not overdoing it, but lets the audience, you know what I'm saying, fall into that emotion for sure.
Yeah.
What about you, Kirsten?
Interestingly enough, I was thinking about adding Mrs. Doubtfire to the calendar, and I know that it's not a Black film, but I was gonna like have it as like films that Black people love, because Black people love Mrs. Doubtfire. So yeah, stay tuned. We might do Mrs. Doubtfire if my host graciously agree. I don't have any films that make me cry. I don't think. The only film that makes me cry is I Am. But I think it's because of the type of films I watch. I only really watch like psychological stuff and like supernatural stuff, and so.
So you ain't cried when E.T. died? Since you a sci-fi, everybody cried when E.T. died. E.T. phone home. E.T. Okay, whatever. It's just me.
Wait, E.T. died?
I thought he was gonna die. He was ashy as hell. He was ashy. That little incubator.
He needed some cocoa butter. Seriously.
Oh my god. Extraterrestrial cocoa butter.
Absolutely.
The only film I cry at is Sister Act, and I know that's weird, and I feel like I don't know what's wrong with me, but I cry at the end of Sister Act.
That makes three of us. We don't know what's wrong with you either.
That's fine. I know.
At what part though?
I'm thinking what part at the end was like where you was like,
Sister Mary Clarence.
I cry when they sing for the Pope, and I cry because of Sister Mary Roberts, the young one with the young nun outfit. With the cool hip nun outfit on. So I don't know, just like her opening up and using her voice and like just I don't know, it makes me cry every time.
You cried for her, but not when old boy sang "Oh Happy Day" and he was shy. He was a real stage fright. All right,
yeah,
cool.
He really was. Yeah.
I'm good. Good.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
the movie that came to my mind when I was thinking of the question, I was like, a movie that I was like, oh man, this really was The Color Purple, where Suge Avery is singing. She hears her father's church in the distance, and she's walking up and getting closer, and she's singing, and she finally gets into the church, and she like goes up to her father, and they just embrace. And that part, that's like, I think that was the first time I cried at a movie. I was like, well, not crying, but teared up. I ain't gonna say I was crying, but I was definitely, I had a few thug tears.
Thug tears.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was the one that came to mind. But yeah, Pursuit of Happiness, definitely. When he's in the bathroom on the
that's
floor,
exactly the scene. That's the scene right there.
I will say I felt something. Okay, so we have a comment that says the Green Mile. The Green Mile.
Absolutely.
Was
that's a good one, Ronnie. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's another one.
Definitely.
That's okay. I'll allow it.
Well, you're so heartless.
I just don't.
You know what's so funny about the Green Mile too? Me and my brother will find more comedy on things, and my father about things about the Green Mile, even though it was a sad movie and everything. It's a lot of funny moments in that movie. That one you probably shouldn't be laughing, but you know what I mean? When he killed that mouse, whoop, it told him ain't no mouse city. You can't say that word, but yeah, man, crazy. Me and my brother die laughing every time.
See, and that might be why I don't know. I can't think of any movies that really make me cry because I have a trauma response and I turn sad things into funny situations. So,
or we both have morbid sense of humor, and I can appreciate that.
hey, and that's probably true. I'm sure it is true, actually. So, but yeah, I I do think like because I did see a lot of posts on social media about this film, and people were like you said, Terrell, people were like, it's a tearjerker. You better bring tissues. It's so sad. And I'm gonna say this, and this is something that I always say whenever we end up with a Tyler Perry slithering onto a Tyler Perry film slithering onto our calendar. To one thing Tyler Perry does really well. And I give Tyler Perry a lot of shit, but one thing that he does really, really well is like conversations and situations between Black women. He does really well. Like the last film that we did of Tyler Perry's, which I think was that country home going kind of movie. I can't remember, but it had Megan Good. Yeah, there was a scene there between Megan Good's character and her mother, and it was just really well written, and which I don't say that about a lot of Tyler Perry stuff, but he does like interactions between the Black female characters really, really well. So there in this film, the scenes where what's the Janiyah and I think Nicole is the branch manager. Those were really well fleshed out scenes.
Agreed.
I think the scenes between Detective Raymond, which was Tiana Taylor's character, and Janiyah were really well thought out too. I mean, I had some kind of because I mean it's still hostage negotiation, and it's not I guess entirely protocol, but hey, that's okay for sometimes.
He was channel surfing. That was Negotiator, and that was also Inside Man. That he was like, let me take scenes from that. Yeah, like 5 movies. There's 5 different movies that he just bit and just put a spin on and just put it in one big movie.
Yes, and that seems to really be my problem with Tyler Perry, because my thing is I'm actually okay with the types of films that Tyler does. I'm even okay with his subpar writing because, okay, whatever. But one thing that really irks me about his filmmaking process is that it seems like he writes films based on watching other films. And it's like, that is not proper research for your characters. Like, you're not going to know protocol for a lawyer or for a police officer or for a detective or for a nurse or for a doctor by watching Grey's Anatomy or by watching like you should research this stuff. And it's like, because there was one Tyler Perry movie we did. Well, I don't think we did it yet, but it was A Fall from Grace. And there was a scene where this police officer had somebody in custody, but he got a call saying his wife might be kidnapped. So he just leaves the suspect with handcuffs on and drives off in the police car. Okay. Yeah, that was a very heated moment, but there ain't no police officer in their right mind going to leave somebody in handcuffs. That is the quickest way to a lawsuit, and that will destroy your career.
Exactly.
And a fleeting prisoner, because he definitely wasn't going to just sit in the thing. He going to be gone with them handcuffs running wherever
exactly. And my thing is, because I was talking to my brother who is ex-law enforcement, and he was like, there's no way that could happen. Even if you got a call that your mother was on fire, you gonna unlock them handcuffs and you're gonna say, all right, it's your lucky day, run bitch, go. And that's gonna be that. And because he was like, it's happened several times. You might get a call where you got to respond to something else, or you got an emergency and you got somebody in handcuffs, and it's like, all right, it's your lucky day. You got away with it, unless they like a full-on murderer or something.
Yeah, no, you coming with me.
Yeah, but it's like it's the way that he does. It's like he guesses at these people's professions, and I feel like it's so disrespectful to the people that are working in these fields.
Yeah.
So, because it's plenty of times where I've watched movies that he's done where and I look at my experience as somebody who has worked in a prison or someone who has worked in law enforcement and someone who has worked in social services. I'm like, that is so wrong. That would never happen. And it's who did you ask?
No.
Yeah.
So
you know what he said?
Yeah,
it's like he wants to pump stuff out just to pump it out. And I'm like, you don't have to do that. If you take your time and craft something of quality, people will watch it just the same or probably watch it even more. Because his earlier movies are 10 times better than anything he's been putting out in the last 5 to 10 years. A Family That Prays, that was, to me, that's his best movie, period.
I can go for that.
I can go
for that.
Oh, you see that? Yeah, we got to put that one. If I'm gonna get on Tyler Perry, I'm gonna give him something good that he did, and
praise. I'll definitely give him some praise. I'll give him praise for the fact that he is trailblazing, and with all due respect, you know what I mean, for our people, you know what I mean, like the fact that he actually has made a lane for so many Black actors and actresses in the industry. You know what I mean? Having his own studios and things of that nature. Like, we can't take anything away from him. So I'll definitely give him the credit for that, being the trailblazer, being the first, and things of that nature. Can he get better? For sure. You know what I mean? But I feel like anybody that is in this industry can be opened up. I mean, we're not perfect human beings. Everybody can always get a little bit better. So I think that collectively we're all saying, like, yo, we wouldn't mind watching a good Tyler Perry movie. You know what I mean? Just make it. You know what I mean? Like you said, take some more time on it and really put the effort into it, pull in the resources, because I'm going to tie in with this movie. The cast in this movie was really good. You know what I mean? Like, they did a phenomenal job for it. And I'm even more impressed by Sherry Shepherd's performance, that she only had 6 days. I didn't even know that, you know, because I was like, man, how did she balance doing the TV show and this? I actually enjoyed her more. No shot against Sherry Shepherd, but I enjoyed her more in this movie than I do her talk show. Because I feel like her talk show, she's not really in a good groove. But this one, she was really, really good in terms of her role. She was empathetic. She was articulate. She was, you know, all these things that, you know, you kind of was drawn into that character of like, wow, she really had this woman's best interest. Even her storyline, like, she left a white branch to come to the hood so that she could help, you know, give or make a difference in her community. All those things, I was like, okay, Tyler, I saw what you did there. That was pretty dope. You know what I mean? And Sherry Shepherd did a phenomenal job. Same thing with Taraji P. Henson and the cast of Different World. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got Sinbad. You got what's my man that was in the lunchroom? What's his name? This is his real name.
Talking about who? What's the third one? I know Glenn Turman was in there, but who?
I think that's his name, Glenn Turner.
Oh, he was Colonel Taylor. He was Colonel Taylor.
Yeah, he was Colonel Taylor. Yeah. Yep. It was A Different World. And Taraji was on A Different World once, I think.
Really?
Are you
sure? I feel like, or am I getting her mixed up with Tisha Campbell? Hold on.
I think you might be getting them mixed up.
Taraji was still at Howard when that came out, but it's all good. We'll allow it. What's some good questions, Terrell? That's some good questions, Terrell. You got one more? You said you had 3 questions, right?
Yeah. This one is just something, because I think this is something that Kirsten, she is well versed in, and she kind of works in this field. So I was wondering, why do you think mental health is overlooked in the Black community? And to me, I think it's because it's seems like it's fairly new. I feel like it's just kind of catching on in the Black community. And then so sometimes people overuse it or misuse it or just say something that they heard. And then other people, I think it's like the older people, they don't really subscribe to it. They're like, nah, I really don't think that's what it is. I just think she crazy. I just think she going through it. I just think she just need prayer. And they try to like put it in this box when it's like more complex things going on in your life. Excuse me. So I just want to know, why do you think that mental health is so overlooked? Is it income? Is it knowledge of the field? Or what do you all think? I'll throw that one to you, Kirsten. So I
So
can
you
get
come
your
with some good
perspective.
ones today, boy. All right,
Look at you. Try
that's
not
the
to get a
trail.
whooping.
Yeah.
No, I think that okay. We have a comment that says, I think this is in response to your asking about mental health, that it's always been there. They just told you to go to church. I agree to a certain extent. I do think that mental health and counseling and all of that, I think that is getting a lot better. And I don't want to, yeah, we do have some that, like, especially our older Black community members, where it's like, you just need to pray, you just need to eat something, you just need to go to church. I do think that we have that, but I don't want to put all of the blame on the Black community. I also think that access to these services has gotten better. Because when you think about it, like, counseling and therapy especially was something that rich white folks did when they wanted to throw away money. That's how it was always like positioned for us. Like, when we see movies, like, you hear jokes about going to a shrink, you're a shrink all the time. Like, and so that is how it was delivered to us. And so now I think, like, the access to that is widening. We get more services that are covered by, like, insurances like Medicaid and stuff like that. So I think that access is better. I do think that there is still some negative views about counseling. But, the one that I see the most now is that Black people, they know that counseling is available, and that, most importantly, it's important. However, a lot of people feel it's expensive, and it is. And then there's also the work to search for a therapist, to search for a counselor, one, that fits your particular needs. So, we see services that, like, specialize in, like, finding the right counselor for you. And I think that's really great. So I think that it is getting better, but of course we've got a long way to go. I mean, but that ties into, like, access to counseling, access to we need things like Planned Parenthood and like, just different medical resources and access to education and information. So we are a work in progress. And because you have to also keep in mind that, like, Black people, we have come a long way, but we had a really rough start in this country. So things, unfortunately, do come to us at a slower rate, by our nature, but also by just the access that we are given to these things. So here we are.
I couldn't agree with you more. I also feel that, and I'm gonna tie it into the movie as well. We have been conditioned to just take it on the chin. We are the most strong, probably the strongest and the most resilient people known to man, because of what Kirsten just said, in terms of so much that we've endured in our entire lifespan, right? So we didn't really have the luxury, if you will, to complain about how hard life was, because we were just brought into it and was like, yo, just deal with it. So I think that as a society, things are starting to turn, where we're starting to normalize, talking to somebody, because everybody needs to unplug. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of unfortunate when, and I've got people in my life that I won't name that, will make fun of you. What, you going to talk to a shrink? You talking to a therapist? What's wrong with you? Like, you automatically write off people that are crazy, right? And that's why we have so many homeless people. That's why we have a lot of people that are in jail too, because society has just wrote them off as crazy, or, on drugs, or whatever the case may be, which are those are real, addictions and things of that nature. But we need to take a little bit more serious. Like, they didn't just get that way overnight, right? So we saw a lot of psychological breakdowns with her, like the trauma of her daughter passing away. You know what I mean? She was in a state of just denial, right? She's still going through the motions every day, because all of her circumstances that was happening in her life, like, clouded her mind to the point that she couldn't even process, my daughter's actually dead 24 hours ago. So that whole straw breaking and everything like that, I can tell you that a bunch of different, disorders that could have been, but schizophrenia or, what I mean, just having multiple, personalities and things of that nature. She literally was in denial and was going through all the, saying things when she couldn't even really put into terms what was going on. And it's just like a misfire in your brain, if you will, right? So now it's like, when she finally was able to step back and recall all the things that really happened, sometimes you lose and get detached of what's real and what's not. So at the end of the day, what I mean, she was in a place of, going through the motions and creating things in her mind, like when she went up to the school and they're trying to take my baby and everything. That was a gut-wrenching scene too, because it was like, dang, like when she's finally trying to get things together, they think this girl is malnutrition and that, what I mean, she can't afford not bathing her. And everything like that. She created all that in her mind, and we didn't know that as an audience until the end. Like, dang, that didn't even happen. Like, wow, you know what I mean? So, mental health is real, man. Like, I think we continue to work. People like Charlemagne the God, you know what I mean? He often advocates for, mental health, you know what I mean, and things of that nature. And as long as we normalize it and start, reaching out to people and extending olive branches to decompress and kind of get some of that unloading, I think that's the only way that we're going to continue to, not only be resilient people that we are, but, really starting to feel like there are resources, like Kirsten said, about, hey, it's not, you're not going to be shamed if you go and talk to somebody. That there are outlets out here that you can seek help, and that you can, you don't have to suffer alone. That's what I'm basically trying to say. Like, you don't have to go through this alone, that there are people that also can relate to you and they are going through similar things. And there are some people that are put in place that can help you kind of, walk through that. So.
I totally agree. And I feel like while watching this movie, I did just, point it out, like in my mind, some of the ways that she was failed, because I was going to like ask you guys, like, do you guys feel that Janiyah was failed by the system, or was this just a day in the life of single motherhood? And I'm going to answer first. I'm going to say, like, just by virtue of like, well, just the nature of like my jobs and stuff, we are, anyone who works in social services or is in education as a teacher or anything, we're what is called mandated reporters. And my thing was, you have someone who came up to the school who was in active psychosis and you just did nothing. That would not happen. They would be calling somebody up there to get this parent who is obviously not in the right state of mind. I was wondering why this child was not on free lunch. And I understand that, like, all services aren't available in every state, but I believe most schools have a program for free lunch. Yeah, right. And like I know that she didn't have a lot of family support, so that was an issue too. And I feel like those were definitely 3 ways in which she was failed. And then also, I know people have strong feelings about the police and their role in our communities, but law enforcement is supposed to be there to protect all of its citizens, and she was definitely failed by law enforcement that day, and mistreated. And I like, so my question is, what are you guys' thoughts about her being failed? Or do you think she was failed or by the system?
Yeah, I do believe she was failed. I believe from the beginning to the end, she was failed by everybody.
She was failed by Tyler Perry the most, but okay.
That too. But yeah, she was definitely going through something, because when even the people that were at the apartment, if I saw somebody doing what she was doing, I'd be like, what is wrong with her? Well, like, what's going on? Because you see, like, they go back and they replay it, and then she's like holding nobody, talking to nobody, and it's like, and then all you worried about?
I want to talk about that too.
Rent.
Your rent.
Like, this lady seems like she off her rocker, and you worried about the rent. You better worry about something else. Because if she going crazy now, better believe when she come back, it ain't gonna be nice.
Right.
So I was like,
that movie's called Snapped.
yeah, pretty much.
Agreed.
So yeah, everybody who came in contact with her, I'm like, from the time she woke up to the time she walked out the bank, I was like, that's why I was like, the day is like, all that happened in one day. It's too much for one person.
Yeah.
And if, like you said, if anybody who went through anything like a day like she had, please, I need to know your story.
Yes.
I need it.
Yes.
I agree. I mean, I think that she was felt by a lot of people, but I think that was like you said, the connection to Black women in the film. So that was why Tiana Taylor's. I'm glad that they recasted it. If it was supposed to be for a white guy, I'm glad it was a Black woman. You know what I mean, in terms of that olive branch that Tiana Taylor, as well as Sherry Shepherd's branch manager character played. You know what I mean? So both of those characters were the only two that really got her and didn't fail her, right? They didn't write her off. They actually was there for her. And I think what wasn't, necessarily explained better, because I mean, she clearly going to jail for a long, long time, right? Because the whole
failed again. Yeah.
She murdered two people. So, you know what I mean? But at least even in the height of, her breaking and murdering people, you still weren't wrote off, and they didn't even kill her. You know what I mean? That also was something I picked up on. Like as soon as they got out the bank, you know what I mean? Again, negotiator. You know what I mean? They didn't kill her, but I think there was two. They definitely were, but it was two women that didn't fail her, and I think that was what the film was intended for. That when the world has their back. And the unity of Black women as well was also, highlighted as well. So, again, I felt like she was failed a lot, but at least there were two people that were really out there to be a supportive branch for it and didn't write her off.
Because usually, just to go off what you were saying, Officer, Detective Turner, what was her name?
Mm-hmm.
Raymond.
Yeah, Detective Raymond.
Raymond. That's right.
She was when she first got to the crime scene, she didn't believe. She believed something was going on with her. She believes like, no, this isn't right. They talked to the friend, and it was like, the friend was like, nah, this is not like her at all. And then she starts thinking about it. Like, now this lady, people talk so good about this lady. She's never had any issues with the police. Ain't had no type of going to jail or being in any type of trouble with the law. And all of a sudden, she snaps and kills two people. It's like something ain't right, and I'm glad that she was able to put that together, because most people would have been like, "Oh, like like her partner was like, oh, she did it. Did you not see the tape? Oh, we got to get her." It was like, sometimes you just got to take a step back and just look at it and be like, I know how it looks, but something else is going on. We need to get to the bottom of that so we can get her
figure it out.
And stop this whole thing from spiraling out where she ends up losing her life.
We got a comment, says, first time tuning in, love this. Mental health awareness is needed. Straw touched on some many issues that women go through on a daily basis. Yeah, thank you for commenting. That was over on our Facebook. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Totally agree. A lot of issues that women go through, and it, even though it was a rough cut, I do feel like some of the issues were valid. So let's talk about the big twist at the end. Moving along to this.
Shyamalan.
Jesus. I feel like that might not have been what pissed me off the most, but it was on the list of things that pissed me off about this movie. Let me tell you something. I am not a movie writer, director, or producer. Okay, I'll admit that, but I just feel like Tyler Perry is not a strong enough writer to write a film with a big twist like that. And I say that because, like, every movie, like, it was like he tried to do this, the daughter was dead all along kind of thing. Like, to real, like, with Tyler Shyamalan. And like this whole Sixth Sense ending. And in my movie viewing history, when you have a movie like that with a big twist at the end, I don't know about anybody else, but I automatically rewatch it to see parts in the movie where I'm like, oh, that made sense. Oh, that made sense.
I
Oh,
missed something.
Right. Yeah. And so I told you, like, I've watched this movie 3 times. Like, because in The Sixth Sense, you'll see where you thought the boy was dropped off by his parents to the therapist, but he was just there. Like, you know, and don't want to spoil that for anyone who hasn't seen The Sixth Sense, but I think everyone has seen that movie.
But if you haven't seen The Sixth Sense, you was never going to watch it.
Yeah. But movies like The Sixth Sense, movies like the Others with Nicole Kidman, Shutter Island, stuff like that, that has those twists at the end. When you rewatch it, you're like, oh, why didn't I see that? Why didn't I see that? When you rewatch this film, that nothing ties in. And then, like, on this third rewatch, you know, to prepare for this episode, I was, you know, kind of watching it to like see those angles, and people were talking to the little girl.
Yep. Was Sinbad, right? Sinbad was talking to her. Did Sinbad talk to her?
When she was
already in a car. She came back.
Okay. Yeah, no, that scene, but one scene in particular that I was talking about, like, she dropped the little girl off at school, and so to everybody else, it's supposed to be she drove the car and nobody got out, and the teacher's just looking at her like she's crazy. But I watched the little girl walk into school, and like a teacher's aide like high-fived her and like spoke to her, and it's like,
but to your
I know you're going to say that that's going to all be in her mind.
Yeah, we was in her POV. That was her point of view.
She was looking away. So,
okay.
I knew you were going to say that.
He missed that again. Okay, missed that beat. Okay.
Because I was like, I know Jeff ass gonna be like, see, it was all in the mind of Janaya. And I get that. I was thinking, okay, that might be, you know, okay, I'll allow it. But she was already getting in the car, looking away, getting ready to drive off. And it's like, that just, to me, that just wasn't done well enough. And one thing I did not like about this movie, and I like talked to Terrell about this, like, you know, while we were deciding whether we were going to do this movie. It's like, I just feel like Tyler Perry just takes his audience for granted, and it's almost like he feels like we're not going to be able to understand a movie unless there's a lot of drama and trauma jam-packed into it, and or we're not going to like it if there's not a big twist or some kind of deceit underneath. And then the thing is, okay, movies like that do exist, but at least fully flesh that stuff out so it makes sense. And I think that we could have gotten a very good movie with a different ending. Like, if they would have, I wish that this movie would have ended like, okay, she goes to jail, we get one of them Wakanda Forever end scenes, Ryan Coogler scenes, where it's like, oh, she did take the daughter and they visited her in prison. And then we could have had some really excellent conversations about mental health and the length of postpartum depression, and like to where it can even go into like with older children. Like, it's not always with newborns, sometimes it lingers. We could have had really good conversations about how Black people police and support their own communities. Like, it could have been a really good story. Like, you don't have to just, Black people want the trauma and the drama, give it to them. Like, we like wholesome shit too.
Yeah.
And it's like, how much of this trauma porn are we gonna have to take?
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
Because I did like the angle of like Tiana Taylor's character being Black, and and it was like she was like, I only want to talk to Detective Raymond, and they, helped. This black woman detective supported her. This black woman branch manager supported her. The black chief supported the black detective. Like, it was really good angles that we could have really pressed upon, but it was like, screw all that. Let's kill the little girl.
Yeah.
Ran out of budget.
Yeah, he spent all the budget on that little fake out scene where they bust in the bank and shoot her anyway. I was like,
because what was that? We could have even, I could have even taken that ending, but it was like
just set it. That's what he was watching. Set it off.
Because we
did
like
6 movies in this movie.
We did deal with this asshole FBI agent coming in, and we could have seen how that we could have had conversations about.
I told you I would kill you. That would have been like. He's out there.
It was just like it was a throwaway ending, and I felt like it was packed with, but it was just like, no, Tyler, you're not a strong enough writer to do something like that. But
and everything is just so convenient. It's just not earned. Like the person going live, all of a sudden, and then all of a sudden the news gets it, and all of a sudden everybody on their phone is watching. I'm like,
and the phone was in the obvious spot. It was just like right here, like
you see the phone. I see the phone.
Right.
I'm hit record or whatever she hit. I'm like,
well, since we're
too convenient.
Since we're talking about gripes, can I tell y'all what my gripe is in all Tyler Perry movies that's been consistent and it was not lackluster in this movie? Wardrobe. I don't understand how this man is so successful with all this money and the money towards the budget. Y'all see how big the sign on the police? It was like this big across their chest.
It was hanging on.
Tiana Taylor's nameplate of police, not police, police was so big. Her horrible wig. I mean, like, it's always in every Tyler Perry movie. I don't understand the wigs, the everything. I'm like, bruh, like, if that nameplate got so bigger, it was at some point I was like, I can't even see her face because it's literally just that distracting.
Listen, it was rough. It was. You're absolutely right. That breastplate name was redonkulously big, and the wig. I don't understand why the wig was not listed as a cast member when the credits rolled, because it was a cast member. And Tiana Taylor, it's such a disservice to her because Tiana Taylor is known for her beautifully cropped pixie cuts. Why didn't you let her keep that? Why did you need to give her? Why did you need to give her this long Rachel from Friends flipped up wig? Like, why?
I think Perry's still throwing the mics in them wigs. I think that's how he gets the same.
Maybe, but also, why was Taraji sweaty the whole movie? She was sweaty.
They greased her down. It was like, even when the AC was on, she was like, I'm cold. I'm like, are you sure you cold? Or are you catching the cold? Because you sweating.
I thought about that. I thought about that, and I thought it was because she got soaked, because she did walk back in the rain. But I was like, okay, now she should have dried by now. She should have dried by now.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about she was wet the entire movie.
Even she said,
from the time she woke up to the time they took her
to
jail.
She said she had no AC. She said
I got you on that.
No AC.
I got you on that. But like to Darrell's point, you had work with AC, right? Mm-hmm. When she was working in the grocery store, you in work with AC. The bank got AC. You know what I'm saying? Like she was that is one musty woman all day. I would not want to be standing next to her. I'd rather her just go ahead and rob the bank than stand next to a very unhygiene.
Well, they just take the money. Like
clearly she wasn't keeping no hostages. People just left out the bank. You know, that was another poorly written thing. People was I'm out here.
Tyler Perry made them two dudes, the security guard and the one dude who, for some reason, thought he was gonna be a superhero.
And he didn't do nothing.
And then he tries to take the gun, don't get it, and runs out of the bank
and leaves everybody else in there. Now, I bet y'all didn't catch this though. So when she comes with the check to put on the door, right? Mm-hmm. The bank was empty.
Yep.
How those people get in line after she got in there?
I mean, long line. I was like,
a long line. Like, you literally just had the worst You know what I'm saying? Movie, like, everybody's going to pay attention to this clip. Go back and rewatch that movie. When she puts her check on the door, the bank is closed. I'm sorry, ma'am. And she was like, I know her. Let her in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if she walks into the bank and she was in line, cool. I can accept that there was people in line. She walked straight up to the teller. She never had to wait in line.
And then a line formed behind her.
Line formed behind her. The door's already locked. That's what I have an issue with Tyler Perry with.
The time was off anyway, because remember, she left work because she had to get the money to the school by 10 a.m. So the bank usually closed at 5, maybe it closed at 4. So all of that stuff did not happen in a matter of like 6 hours like that. It was like an hour, you know, for her to get back to work, get fired, and then that pop off, getting robbed and all. And it was like, the time is...
Which I go to everybody's point, and I agree with y'all wholeheartedly. Like, don't take your audience for granted. Like, we deserve for you to actually get some well edited, you know what I'm saying, well wardrobed, you know what I'm saying, and well written scripts.
Thank you.
We could actually be in there. So I agree with y'all. 100%.
And that's my thing. That's my thing with Tyler Perry, because to your point, Jeff, Tyler Perry has done a lot for the Black community. He has given the Black community a lot of entertaining movies. He has also donated to a lot of causes. He has also given jobs to a lot of casting people, to a lot of actors and actresses, to a lot of lighting people, studio execs, all of that. But I think one thing he could do is give jobs to some Black writers.
Yes.
He probably does have Black writers.
And why won't he? No, he has been notorious. He has been on record saying, I go in the writing room, I'm the only one there, and I come out with my script.
And he come out with 10 of them things. And I'm like,
he has said that. And it's like, there are a ton of Black writers out there that could, or Black consultants. Can at least get, even if you want to write it all, fine, but get some Black consultants to let you know what a nurse would do, what a police officer would do, what a doctor would do. It's such a disservice to people who are working in these everyday professions. I can't say it enough. And, you know, I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't know his entire process, but all I can say is what he has gone on record saying, like, that he does the writing. And I feel like that is some form of mental health, because that is anxiety and not relinquishing control. Like, it's like he takes these things as like, these are my projects, my babies, and only I can do them the way that I want them to be done. And it's like,
but they were being done so much better when you had a room full of writers. It flows better. You get different people's takes on things. You be like,
you get different perspectives.
Or we could do it like this. But if you just like my only mind and that's the only thing I'm going by, and then you writing this episode, this movie, it all starts to blend together, and you just get a bunch of jumbled stuff. And it's like, you putting out content, but is it quality content?
Right. And the sad thing is that this movie has some actors that were doing good. Taraji is up there giving it her all and drenched in oil and sweat and tears and water and coffee and beer and whatever was thrown on her that day. She is up. She did not phone this performance in. She is giving it her all. And it's like the writing is just not there. And the thing is, like, one thing.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, one thing, like I said before, Tyler Perry does scenes with Black women well, but one thing consistently with him is that he does not do interactions between Black men or between Black men and Black women well. Like, he does not do men well.
They are one note. They're evil or they're good.
Yeah.
And most of the time they just evil.
And if they're good, they're boring. Because it's like there's just not enough there. Like, as I think about the movie, the one with Shamar Moore with the bad brains.
Diary of a Mad Black
Man. He was considered a quality man, but the writing was terrible. He was so lackluster. It was like, okay.
Well, the point I was gonna make is that you literally have y'all ever had one of your favorite singers and you hear a song, you like, that ain't it.
Yeah.
If you have a badly written song, right? it can make a good singer sound like trash. In this case, we've had really good, talented actors with a bad script. It can make them look really bad. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And even though he was banking on their performance, their talent, and things of that nature to save the film, I'm not going to. And that's why I feel like the critics are split 50-50. There was some good elements in the movie, right?
Yes.
There were some bones and some foundation to this movie where I can get through it, right? Because some Tyler Perry movies, and I'm just be honest with y'all, I can't even get through. Like, you know what I'm saying? I haven't seen a lot of the Medeas. I haven't seen a lot. I probably have seen on one hand how many House of Pains and Meet the Browns, you know, all of that. So I you know, there's so many movies that I just can't get through. So I could get through this one, but to you guys' point, like if you're not putting them up, if you're not setting them up for success, if you don't have the right script, if you don't have the right, you know, tools, you can make some really talented actors look like, bro, you just did a money grab. This was just a cash grab.
Yeah.
This is a project for you to just get you some money and move on. But yeah, man, it's one of those things.
You know, and the Medea films work because Medea was the central character and all of the other characters were around her. So you didn't really need to strongly flesh out. There was some drama and episodes or whatever going on, but Medea was the central character. Most of the funny lines came from her. Like that worked. But when you have a movie where there's a lot of different actors, you know, depending on how the script is, a lot of different roles and scenes and stuff that has to blend together and work together.
Yeah.
It just doesn't translate well. But
I'm just happy he finally letting people curse in his movies.
Isn't that fucking great?
Yeah. The colorful language I can appreciate. That's I will say this in every episode if I have to. That is the only reason why Coming to America was trash, because the first one was so raunchy and so wonderful. That's I mean, that was the essence of, you know.
Is they not cursing the second one?
No, ma'am. It was a PG-13 film.
Oh, then that was definitely a money grab, because why would you do that?
Absolutely. It was like everything that we loved about Coming to America was some of those, like you said, some of those iconic, you know, lines was from them, you know, cussing and being colorful. And it was like,
yes.
You know, when you dumb that down, it's like, okay, then you shouldn't even went there. You're like, either you're going to go all the way or you're not. You can't tiptoe that line. You know what I mean? So I feel like Tyler Perry finally is starting to let his artists curse a little bit more, and it kind of brings some of the authenticity, but it ain't all the way there yet.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And I think he's gonna get better and grow. I just want him to give out more opportunities to other people. Other people can come to your studio and make films.
You can be executive producer.
Ideas.
Sure.
Exactly. Like you can still have your imprint on it, but just give other directors a chance, other writers a chance, other producers a chance, just to come in and give it some diversity, because it's like you said, it's one note. You're doing one thing every time, over and over and over, from the series to the movies. It's like you gonna give us anything else?
Yeah.
But I am glad that he is out and he's making stuff and he's putting things out. I just wish
we love him. We appreciate him in culture. Yeah,
absolutely. We do love you, Tyler Perry. We just want better for you and better for your actors and stuff. Well, let's I've got a question to round us out. So do you guys have any other questions?
Good. What's up? What you got?
Okay, well, all right. Well, we'll round it out with let's examine the line. People don't know how expensive it is to be poor. I feel like that was one of the strongest takeaway lines from the film. You want to crack that one open, Jeff?
Jeez, I've been poor my whole life. No, I mean, you know what? It goes back in hand to hand too. And I'm not trying to get too deep on it, but you know, we don't know what we're missing because we've never had it, right? As a people, right? So they always say the first time, and you've seen it with several celebrities, NBA players, you name it. Like the first time, the sign of you Negroes getting money. You know what I mean? We don't know, but I would say this, and I stand on this, that society, not just Black people, but society does not prepare or can't prepare anybody for fame and fortune, right? Especially people who have never had fame. If you come from money and a family of money, you might have a financial advisor. You might have, you know, ways to make generational wealth, and this is just the culture that you've come from, right? But us as Black people, we haven't had resources, we haven't had money, blah 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 blah. So and I'm not taking up for anybody. Please don't, the listeners don't get this misconstrued. What I'm saying to you is the Diddy's of the world, the R. Kellys, and all of these people and everything like that. I feel this is just like we were talking about in this movie, and I'm tying both of them together. Had somebody sat R. Kelly down and was like, bro, you about to blow this opportunity, Kanye West and all these other people that's just off the rails and everything like that. There's a lot of, connection in terms of all of these, and it ain't just, again, Black culture. I'll just use that because it's current, but the Epsteins and everything. If you notice all these very wealthy billionaires, millionaires, everything like that, they got some sick fetishes. They got some sick things that goes on. There's a lot of things. And I feel like a lot of that goes back to nobody prepared you for wealth and fame. You know what I mean? Like, they talk so much stuff about Michael Jackson and all his weird stuff and everything like that. He didn't have an actual childhood. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody could prepare you to be the biggest pop star in the world. You know what I mean? So I feel like it is very expensive to be poor, because you're just throwing some shit at the wall, excuse the French, and seeing what sticks, because you're trying to figure it out in the world. And now it's like Mike Tyson is the perfect example, and I'll close on that. Mike Tyson said it was like a demon that had him it had him consumed, and that he didn't know, he didn't want the money anymore. He said, just get this away from me. He said, I felt more at peace when I got rid of the fame, I got rid of the money, because he felt that it consumed him, and what comes with that. And it's so true, because you think about all these NBA players, the family drains them because they never had the opportunity to make them feel guilty. I used to watch you when you was a little boy. You need to give me $1 million. You see it in films like He Got Game. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much that you can unpack with that. And it all stems from, like, we need to be more financially literate, and that we need to be, taught these things from a very early age, so that once we are assimilated into society, once we are starting to make a little bit of money, we're better prepared for it. We're not going out here trying to, quote unquote, keep up with the Joneses and, shit on our other fellow people that we feel that are beneath us now, because we've ascended to a certain level of status. So I'm off my soapbox, but that's that.
So yeah, I believe that it is expensive to be poor, because the things that you really and truly need it's hard to get. It's hard to obtain. It's like it's right there at your fingertips, but you don't have the full resources to get it. Like, oh, I'm late on my phone bill, or oh, I'm late on my light bill, or oh, I'm late on this. Like, you have to play catch up every month just to keep basic things on, your water on, your lights on. And it's difficult. And I understand, because that stuff can get expensive, because they make sure they hit you with a fee. They make sure they hit you with all these other extra things. Like, if you're trying to get a car, they make sure, oh, your credit's not good, we're going to give you this high interest rate. Oh, you can't pay it, or we're going to take your car. It's like, it's always a catch-22. Anytime you try to get ahead in something, somebody's there to pull you back. And it's like, how do you get ahead if every time you turn around the corner is somebody hitting you in the face with this, or taking this back, or doing this? Sometimes it's just too much. And I think with financial literacy, I believe that could solve a lot of the woes. I believe they need to teach that at home and in the schools.
Yep.
Because I mean, they still do the class where you like have to balance a checkbook or anything like that. You start working, you get money, and then you just go. That's it. Like, you left to your own devices. And it's like, if somebody teaches you how to put this away, save this, open this, invest in this, when you get older and it's time to retire, you're like, okay, I got some money saved up, and things I want to do, you'll be able to do them. But
or even having your money make money for you, using money as a tool.
Yeah, exactly. And if you don't know how to do that, or how to start doing that, you won't ever do it.
Yeah,
totally agree. I think, like, when I think of, because I've heard the statement before, it's very expensive to be poor, and I've always like thought about it in terms of like building credit. Because unfortunately, credit is the way to get ahead. Yes, to owe people is how to get ahead. But when you don't have access to ways to build your credit, you are most likely going to be the victim of like predatory lending. And, like you think about, if you're not able to buy a car with your credit, you will probably have to go to one of those buy here, pay here loan places for your car, which you're going to be paying more. If you don't have the credit to buy a living room set, you're going to have to go to a rent-a-center, and in the end you will pay more if you keep it. If you aren't able to pay those things, you lose those things, and then you have a repossession on your credit history. And it's like credit, it can be good, but sometimes like people make mistakes and they have to deal with those mistakes for a very, very long time, when it makes things very, very hard.
Absolutely.
And also, like, even like stepping away from credit, things like healthcare. If you don't have healthcare, or like healthcare insurance, then you are paying out of pocket for stuff, and that's if you can't afford it. And you don't have discounted medications and or able to pay for procedures, and if you do, it's going to be a lot more. So it is very, very expensive to be poor. Like even home ownership, and this is not including those who choose to rent, but if you are a person who wants to buy a home but you cannot buy a home, you are forced to pay rent for something that you will never own. And so there are things like that that really keep you poor. They were made to make you poor and to keep you poor. And there's also, we don't even have to talk about some of the historical things that have been designed to keep Black people as second-class citizens, like Jim Crow and redlining, and zoning. And so it's very expensive to be poor.
They made fun of it in one of those days with Cat Williams' character. Like he was like, it was a joke character, but like he was literally giving game.
He was saying some real stuff, yeah.
Some real stuff,
Because like, oh my God, that interest rate was crazy,
ridiculous.
And
they'll do you like that. They
will.
You trying to get $500? Okay. Well, you're going to end up paying
$1,200.
Yeah, he was like, I thought that was a year establishment. Like, yeah. All right. Well, let's real quick. If we don't have any final thoughts from anyone, let's move into best, worst, weirdest. Jeff, you want to show them how it's done?
Sure. Best part of the movie. Like I said, the connection between the characters not being able to give up on somebody that was in distress and that was in need. I thought that was pretty dope in terms of how they actually he did get that right. You know what I mean? Like he made sure that she wasn't written off and that she wasn't forgotten. So that was the best part of the movie. I liked for that. Worst part, obviously, is the wardrobe and what we already discussed about the writing and all the missteps. The weirdest, I would say, there's a lot of weird moments. Let me see what one hits me the best. The weirdest part of the movie was, you know what? For Tiana Taylor's character, even though she was an olive branch to her, right? There wasn't too much of a backstory with her. I know everything was, basically focused on Janiyah, right? But outside of that monologue that Tiana Taylor's character had with Janiyah, we didn't realize why she felt such of a connection with her, why she felt inclined to help her, right? It wasn't really explained too well. We just knew that outside of her being a Black woman as well, and then she was saying she was a single mom and things of that nature, like they really didn't tell you why they had this really deep connection or why she just felt indebted to this woman, right? At least with the branch manager, you could see like, oh, I know this woman. I came here for this reason and purpose. I thought they did a better job explaining her story than Tiana Taylor's story. So that was probably the weirdest part for me.
Right. Okay. All right, Terrell, real quick.
All right. Best part of the film, I enjoyed the performances from Sherry Shepherd, Tiana Taylor, and Taraji P. Henson. They seemed like they were really in sync They feel like they were really like, they felt like the moment was real for them. Was it real for me? No. But for them, it seemed like it was a real moment. Like it was like Tiana talking to her, branch manager talking to her. It was like, she was like, and it was times where I was like, is she gonna try to grab that gun? Is she gonna try to do this? And but she played it cool. She was like, no, I'm not gonna try to turn the tables on this lady. She already don't have it all. So let's calm it down. And she did the right thing, and she ended up walking out. No one was killed, no one was hurt, and everything worked out well. Mm-hmm. So that was probably the best part of the film. The worst part of the film was that it just was not, it was just too much for one person in those few hours. It was like, it's too hard to explain on how unrealistic that whole situation, that whole day was. It's like, and then she like, you walk in the weird. Jump into the weird. The weird part is walking into a bank trying to cash your check. They don't cash it. You pull out a gun, and then you wondering why everybody hollering and screaming and trying to give you everything in their till. It's like you know you got a gun, right? She was acting like, why are they screaming? Why are you yelling? I don't want all this. I ain't come to do this. I'm not here for this. And it's like, but you pulled out the gun. Like you could have pulled out anything.
That's when you knew she wasn't all the way there, bro. That's when you knew she wasn't all the way there.
She was holding the gun like she was like ready to sign the back of the check. Like, no, that ain't a pen. That's a gun. So that part was weird. I was like, but I guess if you out of it, I guess you might think that you're not holding the gun.
Yeah. All right. As for me, best, worst, weirdest. So the best part of the movie, like I've said, at least 2 or 3 times on this episode alone, I think Tyler Perry does really well with scenes with Black women, interactions and dialogue between Black women. There were some really beautiful scenes between Janiyah and the bank teller, between Janiyah and Detective Raymond. I just think the worst was just the writing period, and the ending, that twist ending was just, no, you not ready to go there yet, Tyler. I believe in you. You'll get there, but you're not there now. And the weirdest was Tiana Taylor's choice of wardrobe. Like, I have to go with Jeff on this one. Like, the weird large pants she was wearing, the big giant wig that was bigger than her head, the giant police breastplate. Okay. All right, Tyler, we see you, babe. And that's my best, worst, weirdest. So really, really quick before we run out of time, which we already have, but hey. Yeah. Let's rate our movie. So we're going to rate our movie 5 top shelf cinema, 4 a signature cocktail, 3 house margarita, 2 bottom shelf special, or 1 well liquor with no chaser. Terrell, what are you rating this film?
Oh, this is well liquor. This might be somebody who poured a bunch of liquor together and y'all just scooping it up with a cup.
Suicide.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Jeff, all right.
All in the cup.
What's above well liquor? I can't read it. What is it?
It's bottom shelf special.
I'll go with a bottom shelf special for sure.
I am too. I think that it wasn't the worst Tyler Perry film I've ever seen, and it wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen, but it a lot of things could have been done differently, but I probably won't watch it anymore.
You watched it enough. You got 3 times, right?
Yeah, I'm about to say 3 times is enough.
Yeah, that was enough.
Enough.
Don't torture yourself now. Hold on.
So I've done my part, and I'm done. But yeah, so I'm gonna go with bottom shelf, and so all All right. Well, that's our show. Thanks for tuning in with us, tuning in to Sips and Scripts. We had a lot to unpack with Straw. And the mind fog, didn't really help. But hey, that's what makes it fun, right? So follow us on Instagram and Facebook, both at Sips and Scripts Podcast, and visit sipsandscriptspodcast.com for past episodes and recipes and all that good stuff. And to learn more about your host, too. If you've got a movie suggestion, DM us. And until next time, cheers, everyone.
Cheers,
Bye.
guys.